Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker. Good evening, everyone, and happy 2023. We've made it. We're excited to be here. I'm excited to have you all here. Let me get this banner ticking across the screen here. But thank you all so much for taking the time to spend the evening with us tonight on this first Thursday night here in January. I am the Ghost Biker, and you're here on the Ghost Biker Garage Live. Got a great guest tonight. We're going to get to him in a few minutes, but I'm so excited that he's able to come on. We did have Dr. Millman, who was supposed to be on tonight, but he is an extremely busy individual and had some commitments that was out of his control come up. So I had to reach out to my friend Ronnie that's going to be coming on tonight, and he's going to be stepping in at the last minute and sharing some great stories with us and talking about convention that's coming up that we're really excited about. We'll get to all that here in a few minutes, but I did just want to say we do have Dr. Millman scheduled for another date, and we'll be announcing that that's coming up later on in March. So again, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much that tuned in this past Sunday night. We did a special little impromptu investigation at the historic Scott County Jail, and we had a blast. It was such an active night. We did that live on Facebook. We're going to be posting the results of that on YouTube. We did that with Dr. Sumner from Soul Sisters Paranormal, my business partner at the historic Scott County Jail. It was a fun night, and you guys were my eyes and ears, and we got some really great stuff. We've been going back looking at some of the different evidence that we captured and can't wait to share that with everyone. So I just want to take a few minutes to say hello to everyone here in the chat room. Hey, David, Dr. Sumner, Nancy Weems, Sylvain, thank you so much for tuning in. Janet Alms, we're so glad that everyone is here. Yes, happy Garage Day. Always excited that we can bring these shows. It's actually been an extremely busy day. Been in meetings all day up at the historic Scott County Jail with my business partner. We're trying to seal the deal on some exciting news. Can't quite say anything just about it just yet, but we've got some very exciting news that hopefully we'll be able to drop either in the next couple days, but at least maybe in the next week or so. Some exciting things for the paranormal community, some exciting things for the historic Scott County Jail. I can't wait to be able to share that. So hello, Brandy. Hello, Scott. Susan Purcell. Thank you guys so much. Joe Mizell. Wow, we got so many people on here tonight. Tommy G, Alex Lowe. Yeah, and then of course Dr. Sumner with the address there. We actually did announce that we've shifted our schedule just a little bit. That information can be found on the Historic Scott County Jail Facebook page, Historic Scott County Jail website, and we did do a podcast on Sunday night. We started back up the jailhouse informant. But what we did, or what we're currently doing here during the month of January, it is slightly slower tourism season, that sort of thing. During the day, we've got the True Crime Museum open. In the evenings, we've got After Dark tours. Well, we've decided during the month of January, we're actually going to be closed during the day. We're only going to be open on Saturdays, but we are going to be open the other days by appointment only. So we've got all of that information there on the site, but we've really beefed up the after dark tours. You can come in and you can either do our escape room, you can do a flashlight tour, or you can do a guided ghost hunt. So we have all of that information on our website there, www.historicscottcojail.com. Thank you, Dr. Sumner, for putting that up on the screen there. You can find all that information. And if if you're in the area and you have a larger group and you want to take a day tour, reach out to us, and we will do that by appointment only on the other days other than Saturday. So definitely something there to keep in mind of different things that that we definitely have going on. So and yes, as Dr. Sumner said, so very excited about what is coming. I wish that I could go ahead and tell, but we want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in the row and have everything put together so that we're able to put all that information out, because there's a couple things you're going to want to act on pretty soon once we make the announcements. So we're just stay tuned for some of that. We will have that information on our respective sites as well as on the Historic Scott County Jail site. And Joe Mizell says Sunday night was very active inside the jail. I really enjoyed that. Dr. Sumner was awesome. Absolutely. What we did, we tried to do something a little bit different. I went live on my channel. She went live on hers. We actually did an Estes method where I had my live in the drunk tank with me. Dr. Sumner was in the other part of the jail, and she was asking questions. We were actually separated on the complete different sides of the building there. And we had some pretty cool responses. I'm going to take and put both of those together so you can watch it as a split screen, and you can see the responses that we got in the drunk tank with the questions that Dr. Sumner was asking. So got to test out my new tripwire that I got for Christmas. It was a fun night. So definitely go back and check out that live investigation. Hope to be doing more of those here on the Ghost Biker Explorations page, as well as on the Historic Scott County Jail page. So let me just see. I do see a couple questions here. Yes, Joe Mizell, I was blindfolded. I did have, when you do the Estes method, you go into that sensory deprivation state. And I was blindfolded. I had noise canceling headphones on, and we had a camera on it. So, and then also Dr. Sumner had the camera on her. So, because you just never know what's going to happen when you're in that state. It's not just what you feel and sense. It's also some of the things that may go on around you. And we can definitely talk about that a little bit more with tonight's guest, because again, very knowledgeable, and they do a lot of really different techniques and stuff on their investigations as well. So if you guys have a question for myself or for tonight's guest, please feel free to put that over in the comments over there. And if you don't mind, put them in all caps, just so I make sure I don't miss as I'm going through. Definitely would appreciate that. So we'll be talking about that, as well as some different events and stuff coming up. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead, bring on tonight's guest. He is a member of Bedford Paranormal. He's also one of the creators of Enigmacons, which is a convention that I will be attending in April, as well as some other amazing speakers that and friends that I'm just so excited to see, and definitely recommend that you guys go and check out what they're going to be speaking about. But he has been an investigator for 20 years and very, very knowledgeable guy. Going to bring on my friend, Mr. Ronnie Anderson. Hey, Ronnie.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. It's good to see you on the screen and not just over in the chat room. I know you're someone that does join us quite a bit, and with
I try to keep up with you.
yeah, great comments and great insights. So thank you again for stepping up and taking the time to come on and join us tonight.
I'm honored to. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So let's just go ahead and kind of jump into it there. Tell me how you got started 20 years ago with your paranormal journey and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I guess my paranormal experiences started when I was younger, so it's been longer than 20 years. Um, Early age, I seen things, but I was the type of person who's like, oh, you can explain that, or I was never, uh, bothered by it. I just kept going,
Hmm.
and it wasn't until probably I'm into motorcycles too. I had a motorcycle wreck a few years ago that put me in a bed for like 6 months. I
Oh,
was lucky
wow.
to get back up and move around, but I had moved into this house that just things were happening in the house, and lights coming on and off, doors opening, uh, people seeing things that came to visit me. So I started looking at them like, okay, I knew I had these experiences as a child, and I just blew them off and kept going. But now it's starting to get serious. I'm starting to notice them and trying to figure it out. And luckily, me and Alan May worked together. So I kind of said, I knew he was the founder of Bedford Paranormal. So I started questioning, Alan, what could it be? Can you come look at the house? See what it is. I wasn't afraid. I was
Hmm.
just curious.
Sure.
So, long story short, Alan invited me to a Bedford Paranormal meeting a couple years after, he had founded the group, and I was just hooked right away. And ever since then, we hit the ground running. And even though we might be a little behind the paranormal field now, but we're old school, and with the members we have now, we're just so excited about what we do and what we've done and where we're going. But yeah, I've had some experiences like um, one of the things that happened to me to really make me start asking the questions was I was on the phone with my dad at this house, and I had this big entertainment center, and it had three doors on it. And I'm sitting there watching TV, talking to him on the phone, and all three doors opened up at the same time. And I told my dad, I said, something's wrong here. All the doors on the entertainment center opened at the same time. He goes, well, it's probably just sitting on the carpet, leaning forward. I said, it's been sitting leaning forward for 3 years now. Why are the doors opening? But people came in the house, and my son's girlfriend at the time came in one time, and he had seen lights go on and off. And she was like, if the lights come on and go off in here, she said, I'm leaving. If you're riding with me, you're going with me. If not, you're staying here with your dad. So we all had like a movie night. We were watching the movies, and I heard a click, and the kitchen light came on. So she turns around and looks, and you can see the switch go click, click. She got
Oh,
up and left.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Um,
so was this after your motorcycle accident?
yes,
Okay, so
it was.
I'm curious. Now, you said you had had experiences before that. Do you think that you noticed it more because you were home, or do you think that it kind of, the fact that you had had such a bad experience that it brought something more out?
I've questioned that many times because uh, when I had my motorcycle wreck, I was like I said, I was down for 6 months. I couldn't move. My mom and dad took care of me. Um, Finally, I got up, but I was still at home. I was still unable. I was going back and forth to therapy, but I was still at home. So I was spending more time in this house. And
Mhm.
actually, when I finally had surgery on my shoulder and all, I was going to a therapist, and I noticed she was sitting there one day working with my shoulder, trying to get it back moving and everything. She was going, I noticed you live on Cedar Lane Court. And I was like, yeah, I noticed your name is on the mailbox at the end of the road. She goes, yeah. She goes, do you know anything about this house? I was like, no. She goes, well, this is a professional environment. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it. And she looks around, and it's just me and her in the physical therapy area. And she goes, that story behind the house was a gentleman that worked for the railroad, and his wife owned my house that I was renting and the house next door. And they separated, and she got that house.
Okay.
And she lived in that house. And she says she was always out in the yard with her dog and doing yard work and just being out in the sunshine. And one day, they hadn't noticed her out in a couple weeks. So they called for a wellness call. Well, they found her and the dog had passed away in the house. They don't
Wow.
know how long they had been in there. So she had told me, and then that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm sitting there going, okay, there's doors opening and lights coming on and off. I wonder if it's her. I never got the name of the lady because I actually called the landlord who owned the house then. He wouldn't give me any information, which is okay. But that's just, that was just when I just got the bug. And then Alan accepted me into the group. It was just, like I said, I hit the ground running and head forward the whole time. Although we are behind in old school and all that, but we're trying to catch up with everybody else.
No, I tell you, I just have to say, because I've met your team firsthand and witnessed, with investigations like with St. Albans, and heard some of the stories you guys have told. You guys are top notch. I mean, such a class act of a team, wonderful people.
Thank you.
When we've had this conversation before, I've had this conversation with other people, how challenging it can be to put together a good team, because there are, it's hard when you're going into these types of situations that can be a lot of fun, but they can also be kind of stressful, and they can also be, thrilling. There's a lot of emotions that goes into this, and it can bring different things out of people, and so to find that team that you're comfortable with in these type of environments, it's hard sometimes, and you guys have put together a just a wonderful team.
I am so over the moon about the team we have now. We have a couple members that in the past that we still consider them members, but they kind of stepped away for personal reasons,
Mhm.
and they will always be members of this team. But with the group we got now, I couldn't ask for anything more. Alan couldn't ask for anything more, and it's nothing new either. We made the announcement that the girls, Angie, Brenda,
Mhm.
and Lisa, to come join Bedford Paranormal. We even, said, well, maybe we change the name with the girls, but no, we all decided to keep the name. But Angie and the girls have been working with us for 10 years. I mean, we've basically done everything together, and just like I've said, we were down to 3 members, and it was me, Alan, and Noah. And we got called to Carolina to do a private investigation. And we were sitting at dinner before we went in. It was like, hey, what are we thinking? Why not just make us one group, one happy little family? We're always doing every investigation together. Angie and Alan are the real creators and the real mind behind the Enigmacons. So why don't we just put everybody together and just go with it? And we asked the girls and they accepted. And as you know, we made the announcement at Enigmacon this past year,
Yep.
and here we are.
Like I said, I mean, it's a wonderful team. And when I was actually quite surprised whenever you made the announcement that they weren't part of the team, because you all have such a cohesive relationship and work so well together. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have thought that you all weren't part of the team. And I've just put the link in the comments there. We also have it in the show notes. Guys, definitely go and check out their Facebook page. Follow you all announce when you're going to different places, don't you?
Yeah,
On your
we're
page.
starting to,
Mhm,
like I said before, we're kind of trying to catch up now, and
mhm.
we've never been the team to just go out and say, "Hey, everybody, we're going to the Myrtles. Hey, everybody, we're going to Old South Pittsburgh," or anything like that. We just get together as a team and as our meetings and go, and we don't even come back home and go through evidence to post it to everybody. We
Right.
we we keep it within ourselves, but I think we're going to get out of that and
Mhm,
start posting some of the stuff we have,
mhm.
and like I said, catch up with everybody else. We're not trying to get big and famous. And we're not trying to be selfish either. We kind of want to share everything with everybody because
Mhm.
like you, I know you. Old South is one of your big places, I guess,
Yeah.
and we've been there, and it's an awesome place. And people ask me sometimes, "What's your favorite place?" Well, I don't really have a favorite, but I can put Old South in my top two. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I like to share because we kind of want to hear what everybody else is feeling too, and what everybody else is experiencing also. I
Absolutely.
watch,
And it, oh, go ahead.
I don't watch too many of these shows on TV because, you know, I've met a lot of these people on these shows, and some of them are a-holes and some of them are really good people. But I do see like the new show Destination Fear. I guess 4 seasons.
Mhm.
It's not really new, but sometimes they'll go where someplace we've been. So I
Yeah.
watch that episode to see what, if anything matches up with what we do. But I'm
Hmm.
so upset that these places they'll go in at a big, like St. Albans, they'll go to
Hmm.
suicide bathroom,
Hmm.
bowling alley, boiler room. That's it. That place has so many hot spots in it, and people just don't realize it. So
Exactly. I tell you, Alan took me down to, and I was so thankful for him because the first Enigmacons that I came to, that was my first time ever going to St. Albans, and so I had no orientation of, and that place is easy to get lost in, even when you kind of know where you're going. And so Alan and I went down to the records area, and it was so interesting. And I actually need to go through that piece of evidence to see if we captured it, because I turned my recorder on, and as we were going down there, he was quietly telling me about the different areas, and we were not wanting to interrupt other people who were already investigating. And we hear these two women, or at least two, if not more, down in the records area having a conversation. And there was also, it looked like, you could kind of tell, you could see in the distance, it was almost like there was a light going on in there. And he was telling me, he's like, this is an area I like to go to. A lot of people don't investigate it because it's just kind of off. And I think at one time maybe it was a barber shop, or where they would cut the
yes,
hair down there. And
yes,
so he goes, we won't interrupt them because they're doing this session, but we might look in because they got quiet for a minute. We go look in, there's no people in there. And we literally stopped because we could hear these women talking, and we're like, oh, we don't want to interrupt them. So it was really loud. I was really impressed at that point, because it's like, okay, here's this area where not a lot of people investigate, and it sounded like there was a whole group down there doing an investigation.
yeah. If you watch any of the television shows that go to St. Albans, how many of them do you see go down there?
Mhm.
I don't ever see any. Anytime
No.
in the King Center, I've had some. We all have had in Bedford Paranormal have had experiences in the King Center. Nobody ever goes there, and
Oh.
that was probably all the years I've been doing this. Probably the only bad experience I've ever had anywhere. I've never ran across any kind of demonic
Mhm.
anything, and
Mhm.
been to many, many, many private residents who claim demons and the devil. And
Mhm.
I mean, I hate to say it, we make sure we help the people out, and we make
Mhm.
sure we do the best we can do, or provide people who can help them if they need them.
Mhm.
But I will say some of them are just looking for attention.
I just
And
listened on my way down here. I was listening to an Unsolved Mysteries podcast, and the first words out of the guy's mouth was, "My name is such and such, and I lived in a home that had a demonic possession." And I have to stop at that moment and think, okay, I really want to hear this, because first off, why do you go there? That it's a demonic possession, instantly, is this for, I mean, it was an interesting podcast, but to instantly go there, I don't know. My red flags go up at that moment. Is it
yeah,
over dramatized, or is there truly something happening, or are you sort of projecting this?
well, we had a couple and a small child here local, not in Lynchburg, but within a 50-mile radius. We don't give out anybody's information, but
Mhm.
they called us and said they were living in their car because they couldn't go back in their house due to some kind of
Oh.
demonic spirit. So, we jumped on board right away. Like, let's go help these people out. Let's
Mhm.
see what we can do, if we can do anything, or point them in the right direction. and you go in the house and all the drug paraphernalia and everything. I'm just like, we got to go. I don't
Yeah.
even want to be anywhere around this. And and we'll help. We'll still help them, but people don't like what we have to say either. Like
Hmm.
years back, Alan talked me into. We did a conference called ParaQuest. We did it,
Okay.
and this has been 12 years ago. So we were doing ParaQuest here in Lynchburg, and Alan talked me into being a speaker, which I'm not a great public speaker, and I'm probably going to be your worst guest.
I
But
don't think so.
but I did this. I put together this, PowerPoint, presentation, and of course, from time you fired the button up, I was tongue tied and twisted up, and I ran through my hour and 35 minutes and got to a question. And I let everybody do a Q&A session, and people were asking me like, what do you think about this piece of equipment, this piece of equipment, this one? And I would blatantly tell them what I thought about it.
Hmm.
I'm not a big fan of the spirit box.
Hmm.
Spirit box has to really convince me to make me believe that it's an actual piece of equipment that we can use.
Hmm.
And the only way is, and I've been in a situation where I never bought one. Alan
Hmm.
just bought one though. He bought the SB11 and we use it now.
Hmm.
But we were at the old Kentucky Theater investigating one night, and I knew how the theater was set up, and I knew some of the backstory on the theater where the minority class set up in the upper balcony,
Hmm.
and the majority of people sat downstairs. So I knew there was a fire and a gentleman lost his life there. And
Okay.
we went in, and this lady that was there used a spirit box. And every question she asked, it all went back to say burned or fire. So then I'm like, okay, I got to wrap my mind around this. So yeah, we bought one and we kind of use it now. We're going to start using it more.
Hmm.
But to me, I mean, I it was at the point in time when I answered this lady's question, she got so mad, wanted to argue with me that I didn't believe in it. But that was just my personal opinion.
Right.
I can turn a scanner on and start picking up radio stations, and wherever
Hmm.
they stop and it says one word, then the sweep is not fast enough, then you're going to pick up a radio station. So I'm not going to say everything is paranormal.
It's
That's
like
just me.
any tool. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really have to scrutinize some of these tools. And there's certain things that, I mean, Chris just mentioned here, same thing. She felt the same way. And, I just recently did, the Fentress County Jail, and by holding up, not even saying what I was holding up, I held up a paintbrush because one of the guys that I was trying to make contact with, he was a famous artist out of there. And I just held up a paintbrush, never had mentioned it the whole time I was in there, and said, if you can see what this is, it's yours. And instantly on the spirit box and also on the Ovilus 5, first point, I get paintbrush, and then a little bit later I get paint, and I have no explanation for that. So there's times you can totally debunk sometimes, but then there's
Yeah.
other times it can be mind-blowing.
Yeah. It's like a spirit box. I never was a big fan unless it was relevant. But the more that I use it or we use
Mhm.
it and it's relevant to what we're doing, like the
Yes.
paintbrush,
Mhm.
I mean, it's great. And I got a new, uh, I seen somebody do it. Use a spirit box or the ovulus and just write a word on a piece of paper and lay it in the middle of
Mhm.
the floor.
Mhm.
This is new to me. I know everybody out there is going, oh, that's old. We've been doing that. But it's new to me. Like I said, we're old school. I actually had tons and tons of equipment, cameras, everything. And I've actually went back to my flashlight and my
Mhm.
recorder.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just depends on where I'm at.
Mhm.
That's just what I do now.
Mhm.
We have tons and tons of equipment,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'm to the point where I don't really have anything to prove. I do want to share everything because a lot of people share with us.
Mhm.
So we're getting back into it, but I don't really have anything to prove to people.
Right.
I have, I have co-workers that come up to me and say, hey, have you ever seen a ghost? I mean, what do you consider a ghost? Have I seen Civil War soldiers standing? Yeah, I've seen something that very well possibly could have been. I was on the USS North Carolina one time. It was actually my first investigation, big investigation. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting in the mess hall. If you
Mhm.
ever been on the ship, you know the kitchen's in the center, and where the sailors ate were on each side of it.
Okay.
Now it's about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's only 8 people on this ship. And at this point in time, they gave us bow to stern, full access of every deck except for the first deck. And we split up in fours, and one would go one way, one would go on the other side of the ship. Well, I'm sitting here. I know I was tired. I was exhausted because it was my first big investigation. And I look up and I see a sailor, what looks like a sailor, looks like Popeye. He's got his
Wow.
little cap on sideways, and he's just standing at attention. And I'm sitting there looking at myself, talking to myself, going, oh, I'm so tired. My eyes are just playing tricks on me. For about 20 seconds, it was there. And when
Wow.
it left, and it left black tracers. It left so fast. It went, pew, and it left black tracers. I've never seen anything like that. I'm hair standing up on
I
my
was
own
going to say
finger.
that that gave me cold chills when you
And I
said
was
that.
like, holy crap. I just seen a sailor. And needless to say, I heard noises on the other side of the mess hall. Went on the other side, and we was taking random just still shots. And it's
Mhm.
pitch black. The only light was an exit sign in the holes. So it's still pitch black. And within 8 or 9 pictures, we've seen this same thing leaning out of a whole door.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it verified what I seen. And it was a great experience. So I tell people this. They ask me, "Have I seen?" And I
Uh-huh.
explain this to them, and then they look at me going, "No, you didn't. I don't have nothing to prove to you. You know what I mean? I really don't. You ask me. I have nothing to prove to you."
Do you feel
So,
he saw you?
huh?
Do you feel that he saw you and he was aware of you?
Oh yeah, he was within 8 feet from me when I looked up, and if he had features, we would be eye to eye looking at
Oh,
each other.
wow.
And it's just one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. But you don't get that everywhere you go.
No, you don't, and that's hard as a location owner, that's hard to explain to people because there are some people that have had experiences like what you've had at the jail, and you share that, and not everyone gets to experience that for whatever reason, whether it be, whether you're talking matching vibrations or whether you're talking it's just somebody that, it's just a not their night to experience that. It's hard to convey sometimes to people that it's like it doesn't, especially if they don't do it all the time, you don't, it's not going to always happen.
No.
um and that actually leads to my first question over here. I'm scanning the chat room, so I will get these comments and questions pulled up. I just wanted to wait till a break in our conversation here. Dr. Sumner asks, what is your most memorable investigation?
Besides the one I just spoke about, I'm going to have to go St. Albans. I mean, that's kind of St. Albans is actually 2 hours away from me, but it's still like my home.
Hmm.
But it's between St. Albans and Old South Pittsburgh. Old South Pittsburgh. It was back in the day before the new guy. I think his name
Yeah.
is Ronnie D.
Hmm.
Is that his name?
It is.
We haven't been there since he's taken it over, but
Mhm.
we were in there for 3 days, and
Wow.
it was pretty amazing. We first night we were shooting down one of the hallways, and claims of doors opening, but our IR wouldn't pick up all the way. So we ended up going to Walmart the next day and just putting reflector tape on every doorknob all the way down, and it would pick it all up. But me and Alan were upstairs, second floor, doing that during the day. And of course, we got tape and scissors and no equipment. Although we got cameras running, 24/7 DVR cameras and all. But we were walking and somebody started whistling. And we we get on the radio going, "Hey, who's whistling down there?" Because everybody else was on the first floor or down below us. If they were whistling, we would have never heard it. You know the
Mhm.
layout of the building.
Yeah.
And nobody's whistling down here. We're just sitting here. It was rather cold and there was no heat, so they were sitting hovered around the little electric heater we had. But me and Alan heard this whistling, and it would whistle, and we would. It shocked me and Alan. So we started walking towards it, which it didn't sound too far away, but it led us all the way down to, I guess, surgery, the surgery room, and around, and all the way back up to the elevators, and totally stopped whistling. But we followed it around the building. And
Wow.
if I could whistle, I'd whistle the tune for you because I can hear it, but I just can't whistle. But St. Albans, I had an incident there a few years back. Well, not a few, a couple years back after COVID. The building had sat dormant for a while because of COVID. We went back, and it was just us there, and we sat in the King Center, and
Mhm.
I kind of sat on the floor, and we were all doing an EVP session right there at the elevators. And for some reason, I could hear Alan and Brendan all asking questions, but it sounded like they were so far off in the distance. And then I felt this real heaviness sit on my shoulders, and then like a black cloak came over my head, but it didn't close all the way up. It left just enough for me to see down the hall. And then
Wow.
next thing you know, I hear them calling my name, but it sounded like they were down the hallway. And I just lost track of time, lost track of everything. And to this day, we have still, if you ever, when you come back to St. Albans, you'll watch us run up to King Center real quick because we're trying to figure out what this is. And we don't think it's from the past history of it. We think
Mhm.
it's something that's been brought there.
Okay.
So, but it left me kind of dumbfounded for 2 or 3 days. And
Wow.
Alan
We
can verify it, Brenda can verify it, but nobody believes me. But like I said, I don't have anything to prove to them, and I've never had anything like that happen to me ever. And
Wow. Well,
but
and it's
it
like
was
oh, I was gonna say it's
very
like what
strange.
Matt says about, he's talking about the King Center here, and, getting some great Echovox responses there. Um, I did a little investigating. I guess it was the first year that I went to St. Albans there in the King Center. But you're right. There's not a lot of people that really spend a lot of time there, and I'm not really sure why because it has a feel or a vibe to it.
It really does. I really love the place. That's our home away from home. We used to have a a place here. It might be a good place for you to check out. It's called the Avenel Plantation
Okay.
House.
Uh-huh.
It's actually in Bedford, and we used to do Halloween haunted nights there every
Okay.
year. And the last year we did it, we kind of had some kind of drama, so we kind of stepped away from it. We didn't want to. It's a long story. I'll tell you in private because I don't want to try to hurt their business that they're trying
Sure.
to do. Because a lot of people have taken over it and they've called us to do some events with them, and we'll meet and say, "What do you want to do?" And considering what happened, we just declined to do it. You
Yeah.
know, and I've actually met with the board there now, and they're really nice people, and the place is an amazing place. But I guess we just can't get over it right at this point, so we're just moving along, and we're focusing all of our energy and everything on St. Albans, like
Mhm.
Enigmacon.
Mhm.
Everything that's done with Enigmacon is just our group. I mean,
Okay.
everything, all the bills, all the money put into it is just us.
Mhm.
And every dime that goes to Enigmacon goes to St. Albans and that building. So it's a nonprofit, and we love the people that are involved with the place. That Marcel, we love
Yes.
Marcel, and we love all the volunteers that put in so much work there, and we just want the place to keep going. So we just do this. And let me tell you, Angie and Alan are the main two that do Enigmacon. The rest of the group, we sit there and say, okay, what do you need us to do? And we do the best we can to get it done. But those two are the brains of that whole operation. And like I said, every dime that's put into that event, it comes out of our pockets. And every dime that's made from that event goes to Marcel and St. Albans.
That's
It's
awesome.
just a great place. And if nobody's ever been there, please make the trip. It's well
Yeah.
worth it.
I mean, it is. And, for myself being, I go back to being a location co-owner now. That's so important in getting the name out, the awareness, the preservation for these locations, because it's not cheap. It's not something that it's not what, when you start seeing the behind the scenes and all the work that goes into it, it's not what you think, and so you guys do an amazing job with this convention. I mean, I've said it to you before the show, and I've said it to Alan and other folks involved, that I mean, it's one of the best conventions that I've ever gone to as far as being put together. I mean, not only do you guys take a lot of care in what you do, I mean, just the little details with the location, but also, I mean, you make the speakers and the vendors and everything just feel so special. And, you, again, it's those little things that you guys put into it. I mean, you're just, it's a fun time. And, I love the fact it's a no drama, um, just, it's a great event. I recommend for anyone, to definitely check this event out.
It is a super event, and we appreciate you and all the speakers that come. I mean, you know, I think your first year it actually got canceled, but we even had the dinner,
It
and
did.
that was just amazing just to have. Oh, me, my little doggy's wanting my love right now, but just the people that are on the marquee that come, we can't thank them enough. I mean, super great people, you and everybody. You know, even old douche nozzle Steve Deals. I love Steve Deals and Alan. Steve kind of got me at St. Albans a few months ago, I guess. I don't know what we were there for, but he caught me coming out of the Mountain Souls guys, the actual volunteers there, good people. But we did the thing with Mountain Souls up there a couple months ago in November, and Steve was there, and I was coming out of suicide. I had a group up there, chaperoning and let them do an hour investigation, and it was time to change rooms. So I walked down the stairs, and Steve called me at the bottom of the steps. I never get shaken, scared, or anything, but he is the first to ever get me. He was standing against the wall, and when I come down, I looked right. His face was right here, and he did some little Michael Jackson thing, and it scared the crap out of me. I'm like, "You got me, you douchebag."
That sounds
But
like
yeah,
him.
it does. I love everybody. Pat, the Connor sisters,
Oh,
Alan
yeah.
Marston. I mean, everybody. You guys, we appreciate you guys more than it probably shows, but we do appreciate all you do for us also. So
Absolutely. So are there still tickets left? I know typically it sells out pretty
it,
quick, so do you still have tickets that people can purchase?
we do have patron tickets. Yes, we still have tickets left. I'm not sure on the number,
Okay.
but if anybody wants to inbox me, I can find that information out. I do know our vendor tables and spots are full.
I
We have no
just saw
more
that.
unless somebody
Yeah.
drops out. We're full of vendors at the moment, and just want to let everybody know also that don't forget your vendors, man. They do a lot to come there and just to be a part of it and help out, and you know they're trying to do a little business also, so
Mhm.
help them out. And there's going to be door prizes this year. The escape room was a hit last year. Alan,
Mhm.
he did the whole thing by himself, other than me and Noah helping him set it up and Angie and everybody taking it down. But yeah, the vendors, stop by and see your vendors. We're planning on having door prizes, and even if you've been to one of these things and it didn't run as smooth as you thought, just remember we're still learning how to operate this thing and do it too. It's a
Everything
ton
gets
of
better
work.
every year. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a ton of work. But
Yeah. So definitely guys go and check that out if you're interested in tickets. It's April 22nd. And you have, like you said, you've got vendors, you've also got VIP tickets, and the VIP tickets are for, is it a full overnight ghost hunt?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then of course lectures all day long, escape room. It's, I mean, it is a chock full day of excuse me, speakers and things going on. And so if you go to the website that we just pulled up on the screen a few minutes ago, you can actually see that schedule of speakers and events as it goes on throughout the day. So people, you want to come early and you want to stay all day, because it is a fun event for sure, and a lot of work goes into that. um let's see, just wanting to make sure that I get a lot of the comments over here. um Angie says Crescent Sanatorium was definitely one for the books for BPG. That's one that I would love to go to. I've heard a lot of good comments about Crescent, and it's pretty large, isn't it?
My advice, and I know the team will verify it for me, if you go there, you need at least 2 days, if not three. And we had a pretty crazy experience there. I mean, it's so big that I think we rushed the investigation. We didn't get to spend time in every building. I think it's 22 buildings. We had access to all of them but three, and we would
Okay.
try to go in like this town. So we would try to go spend X amount of time in a building and give it time to show itself. If it didn't, we
Sure.
move on. But we didn't get everything we wanted to get out of it. So I feel like next time we go, we probably need a couple days to go. And
Hmm.
lo and behold, 4 o'clock in the morning, we go into the maintenance building, which is, I believe they said they had a makeshift morgue there at one point. But that was the last building we went into. And it's way on the other side of the property. And we walked up to the second floor, and it was Angie and Lisa and Alan and Brenda sat down, and I came up last. We're stretched out maybe 8-10 foot away. So anybody that knows Angie and Lisa and Brenda, they're all about the history. So they go into this little, it looks like a little office section. You go in and there was a counter there. And it looked like it had some kind of records or paperwork or something in it. I didn't get to see it, and I'll tell you why. I seen them walk in, and I seen Alan get ready to go in. And as they walk in and go around the counter, the door shuts. Boom. And I'm like, I laughed. And then Alan looks at me. We go over, and they're knocking on the window. And I was like, we can't get out. He said, Angie said, we can't get out. And Angie starts kind of panicking. I was like, turn the lock, open the door, and come out. There was no doorknob, and the only lock on there was a key lock on both sides. We had no key to get them out.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. I'm not going to tell you how we got them out, but we got them out 45 minutes later. So, but Angie, bless her heart, she was so panic mode. She thought the place was catching on fire. She was going to go through the ceiling tiles, down the ladder, break windows. We were like, calm down, we'll get you out. She just won't have him being locked up in there. And I felt so bad for her that we couldn't get him out faster, but we got him out. We won't go anywhere until we got him out. So now I think if you look back on the Bedford page, you'll say new ghost hunting equipment, a crowbar.
There you
So
go.
we have a bag with a crowbar in it now
Did you
because
catch
we
any
had.
laughing or anything? Like, from, because I can just imagine the spirits were probably like, "Look at these guys," you know?
I think we're still telling this story and telling about the Crescent that I don't even think we're finished going through our evidence. And I think we went April. No, well, April. I don't know. They have to verify the date. It's been a while, and we hadn't finished going reviewing our evidence yet. But it's a great place, and it's active. The chapel was very, very active. We went in and we played a few hymns, and
Mhm.
we set, REM pods around and mails around, and we were in there for a long while, and nothing happened. And then we started playing hymns, and everything went off, and it was just
Oh.
crazy.
It's
But yeah,
interesting. It's interesting how that will bring that out. We did a guided ghost hunt at up in Kentucky, and in the church, same thing. When we started playing hymns, everything started. It was wild.
and when we stopped, it stopped. That's just what amazed me.
Hmm.
There was no power to that building that I know of. So, but we were in there for a good 20, 30 minutes before we started playing hymns. So
Okay.
then it was just, I went over and even played the piano, and there was a REM pod on the piano. When I sat down and started playing the piano, the REM pod went off, and I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. But it's a nice place, but I would advise everybody who wants to go there to make it a 2 day thing, because there's no way you can really investigate that place in one day. It's so much to it.
That's what I've heard. I had a group that came into the jail talking about, because it just recently opened to the public, right? Like a year.
Yeah,
Didn't they have their first investigators there like early last year or something?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
I
thought.
knew, like, College Hill. We went to College Hill. I think we were the somewhere between the second and fourth group to ever go into College Hill,
Mhm.
and that building had been sitting really quiet for a long time too. And I believe I would have to go back there to make me say if it was haunted or not.
Mhm.
And I think I seen a nurse, but I'm not going to validate that unless I got some kind of proof of it. But
Mhm.
I seen a white mist. It looked like a nurse checking rooms going across the halls, and I'm sitting at the far end of the hall on the second floor. And I was, I swear I seen it, but I'm not going to say anything without the evidence. It's just a personal experience.
Right.
But that's a cool place if you can deal with the neighborhood and all. I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't bad to us. We
Mhm.
spoke to the fire department, police department, and all while we were there visiting downtown and all, but we heard horror stories about the town. So just be safe. But it's a great
Yeah.
location.
Unfortunately, a lot of locations tend to be kind of in weird or rougher areas of town, at least ones that I've been to down here in the South. And then also from like, seems like from Ohio South seems to, and it's probably like that other places, but you get, I know we saw a drug deal go down the first time that I was at Old South Pitt Hospital. Saw it go down in the parking lot, and you just things happen at these
Yeah.
places.
It's just, I mean, that's the world we live in now. So, I'll
Yeah,
just stay away from it all, keep on investigating. But
absolutely. Let's see.
make sure where I go they got locks on the doors.
Yes,
I'm scared of the people that are alive more than the people who are fast.
that
So
that seems to be one of the common consensus of people that are on the show. I mean, you really have to watch out for that. And as Angie says, BPG was one of the first non-TV teams to investigate the Crescent. Um, yeah, a lot of really good locations. Like you said, you mentioned College Hill, you mentioned Crescent. A lot of great locations in that area, not too far from you guys. You guys are out of Virginia, correct?
yes, ma'am. Lynchburg or
Ah,
Bedford.
nice. Let's see here. Go ahead. I was just looking to make sure I didn't miss any.
I was going to say we're Bedford Paranormal because, like I said, Alan, he is the founder of the group, and he was living in Bedford at the time. But we don't want to change the name. It's iconic around here anyway.
Mhm. We have a question here from Andrew Shaw. Says, so for me being a beginner in the field of investigating the paranormal and being on my own, where and what kind of place should I investigate first? I don't really want to investigate a cemetery on my own or something like that in bad case of attachment. Do you have any suggestions?
Um, it, try something small, like I don't know. Like for instance, I don't know where she's from, but
Hmm.
like some of these historical plantation houses or wherever she has in the area
Hmm.
that have claims, like I said here in Bedford, we have the Avenel, and that's basically where everybody here locally started. It's active. It's a beautiful place, and it's not super big where you're running,
Hmm.
trying to figure out what to do. You can go sit down and you can take whatever little equipment you have or how much equipment. You can go either way and
Hmm.
really get the feel for the research and the
Hmm.
the the experiences. It's just, I mean, people start out. I know people who go out and join a group and then they hit West Virginia State Penitentiary right away. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
if you don't want to jump headfirst into something that active, I would check out your local smaller plantation
Hmm.
houses or smaller venues just to get in and get a feel. It might not be something for somebody like that.
Hmm.
A lot of people watch TV and say, "Hey, I want to do that." Would you get in there and you get into something? There are negative spirits. I do
Hmm.
believe in that. I don't believe every place is demonic or anything like that. Like the 13 years I've been in Bedford Paranormal, I've never experienced anything demonic. Now,
Right.
I've experienced some nasty spirits, and they can
Hmm.
be very scary to people just getting into it.
Hmm.
But me personally, I wouldn't jump into something really big. I would just go slow. Best thing to do is probably join an established team
Hmm.
and let them walk you through it, and don't just go out there. I've seen people break laws just to go to an abandoned, scary place. And I
Yeah.
never, ever, ever would advise that.
It's not worth it because
Yeah.
the most important thing is the way you go into a location. If you're already breaking and entering and going in and you're heightened because you're sneaking into a location, I mean, you're already kind of setting yourself up in a heightened, non-grounded type state.
Right.
And I completely agree with what you're saying. I mean, that's wonderful advice because and sometimes too, when you go to a very large location, you don't have the time to sit and really kind of focus and learn and experiment with things. I mean, personally myself, I do like the cemeteries starting out. I mean, because around here we have so many and we've got rules, but we have so many mountain cemeteries and cemeteries that are forgotten about. That was kind of how I cut my teeth was on those, really just kinda going in and learning to listen and learning to, work with equipment, but, I completely agree that the smaller places and finding someone that has been an investigator that can kind of, guide you through that process or maybe even let you borrow equipment because I always tell people, "Don't go out and spend a ton of money starting out. You don't need it." If you get into it and enjoy it, that's great, but it's more of an investment of time than an investment of money if really truly wanna get into it.
Yeah, my early days, we jumped in and like bought all this big equipment. Like I told you earlier, I then went back to just my basic recorder, my
Mhm,
flashlight. The only reason I don't use the flashlight, but the only reason I carry a flashlight because like USS North Carolina, man, you could go on any of those decks and they had open hatches, and that was like falling from fourth deck to the first deck in the water and
yeah,
not making it out. So I just keep it for safety. But my recorder and my body and my mind and my senses, that's the
mhm,
best piece of equipment you can have to me.
mhm,
That's my opinion. But yeah, we got tons of gadgets, but no need to go out and buy everything right up front.
and you'll
It's
find
just
what you jive with,
right.
go, I mean, try everything. Some people are into the recorder. Some people don't really like even listening to the recorders, which, it's kind of like you gotta go back and listen because you just never know. We miss so much that we don't hear in the moment, but some people like the rods and the pendulum, we identify with so many different things, and, it's it's just one of those things you got to try it and see what you like. You know, you may
Yeah,
just like
and
the old school way.
yeah, I'm not down in any piece of equipment. Like I made comments about the spirit box earlier.
Mhm.
I'm not down in it. I'm basically just giving my opinion on
Oh,
it. That's
absolutely.
all. And I'm not saying it works or don't work. It's just me. I'm not the person that's going to go out and say, "Hey, that happened and that was paranormal." I have to try to debunk it first,
Mhm.
and I've debunked stuff. I don't like I said. Here's an example. If anybody watches Destination Fear, when they were at College Hill, he
Mhm.
walked into the building doing a solo, and he heard it sound like an EGK meter going off beeping,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and he runs upstairs and nothing's plugged up. It's not even one there. I know exactly what that noise was, and I'm not saying that what he heard is what I heard or what I think it is. I'm just saying I kind of can debunk that because
Mhm.
down to the bottom of the hill is railroad tracks, and they were in and out there all night long. And you know the metal on metal with the wheels and the rails,
Yes.
you could hear them squeaking all the time, squeak, 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 and that's what I'm sitting there go watching the show, going, that's the train down the hill. It's not it's not paranormal, but then again, I wasn't there, so I'm not gonna say, oh, he lied. I'm just saying I
Right.
think I can debunk that.
And
So
that's the thing. A lot of people don't think about, I mean, we were having a conversation, I can't remember who I was talking with. It may have even been you and I talking there in, at St. Albans talking about, you know, how you can hear train tracks from 30 miles away if it's a
oh
clear
yeah,
day, you know. So
oh
you
yeah.
have to take all of that into consideration. And, you know, I saw the comment earlier, which, you know, kind of talking about that, and just knowing your area, knowing your surroundings, people talking about kind of the TV shows and how they're sort of over dramatizing, or into the dark, you know, because that's what sells. And so, you know, thank you, Jim, for your comment, and just definitely appreciate the compliment there, and also the follow up by Matt Haas talking about TV shows needing ratings, so everything is dark, scary, and demonic. But that's a great point you bring up about knowing your area that's around and really keeping your eyes open when you go to essentially not try to debunk, but try to, I mean, we're out trying to find answers. And so debunking is not a bad thing. People look at that like it's negative. Um, you know, yeah, you want that stuff to happen, but if there's things you can explain, it helps to, for the things that being able to explain things helps in when the things you can't, to really show the things you can't explain. And I don't think I said that right, but I think you know what I mean.
I know what you're talking about. You're exactly right too. And a big percentage of it you can't explain, and then there's been stuff that I can explain, but
Hmm.
I'm not gonna point at it right away and say, hey, that was a ghost or that's paranormal or what. I'm gonna have to sit there and think about it and process it really
Hmm.
to see if there's a scientific or logical explanation or something for it. And yeah, the TV shows, I won't mention any name, but I talked to, there's a person out there who has a TV show now, and I spoke to her in Radford. Oh, I said her, but I spoke to her in Radford a few years ago, and they were telling me how the production people, when you would go to, they made the show in one night,
Hmm.
and they told me that they were wearing clothes for 2 and 3 days because they couldn't get nothing right away, and the production companies wanted them to fake stuff and do stuff to make it
Mm.
for ratings and all that, and they refused to do it. That's why they
Yeah.
ended up staying there for 3 days. So I admire them for that, but
Hmm.
I don't put too much into the TV shows because it is ratings, and that's the
Hmm.
name of the game when you go that way. That's why I'm
Hmm.
not a big fan of, hey, I'm going to go out here and get with these people, and try to pound the fences and it's concrete to get a show or something.
Exactly.
I'm doing it for me and my team and people like you and the people that we talk to. I'm not against it because
Hmm.
we know people, with the Paraflix deal, and
Absolutely.
that's super great. I'm I'm happy. It actually, I learn a lot from you guys that do this,
Hmm.
and I guess that's why I'm saying we're trying to get back, catch up with the game, so we can get in here and butt heads with everybody. Not butt heads, but
I know exactly. Yeah.
share everything.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
just in our neighborhood, everybody knows who Bedford Paranormal is. But outside
Hmm.
into like your areas, nobody cares who we are or what we do or what our resume is. I mean, we got a huge resume. I'm
Hmm.
not really patting myself on the back, but we've done a lot that we just don't promote or put out there.
Hmm.
It's just, I don't know why, but I think we're going to start doing it.
Well, I think
We've
that's
even
wonderful.
we've even talked about writing a book here lately. It's going to be like a team effort book,
Mhm.
and we spoke about it. Got all the ideas, kind of laying it out, but we hadn't started on it yet.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that's what we try to do at the jail there when we have teams that come in, because we have them come in on a weekly basis, and it is very regional. It's interesting to see all these teams in the different regions. Like we're here in the southern region, and all of us knows each other, and I'm sure it's the same. You're in the southern region, but you're in a little bit different region than what I'm in, and so we know some of the same folks in the area. But that's what we like to do there with the jail when different teams come in, is we really like to spotlight those teams, because it opens our audience up to a different region and different folks and different ways of investigating. We're always encouraging people to go and follow these different pages and follow these different teams, because we all have so much to learn from everybody. And it's great to see how people are doing things and introduce them to a different audience. It's because we've all got something to share here and something to learn when it comes to these
that's
places.
right. There are no experts.
No.
No experts. The Holy Grail is to sit down with a Civil War soldier from Gettysburg and have a 30-minute conversation. Then I'm going to consider myself an expert.
There you
So
go.
there are no experts out there. And yeah, we are who we are. We're kind of boring, but our team is just awesome. We don't
Oh
care who
yeah.
thinks we aren't. We just know we are. We have a decent resume to prove it, and we know you and a lot of people that we really care about and are very thankful for in the field. Even like the Haas's and out of Long Island that come down
Hmm.
and do
Yeah.
they come all the way down and they bring people with them. So we're trying to spread the love up north and keep it down south and move forward in the right direction. So
That's
just trying to
right.
be the best we can be.
Well, and like I said, I definitely suggest everyone go check out Bedford Paranormal, check out Enigmacons, get your tickets if you've not already, because yes, yes. And if you haven't, which you're here, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, definitely go subscribe and like the channel there and follow what we're doing, because we love having folks like Ronnie. We're actually going to have Ronnie's team, all of Bedford Paranormal, back on. We're going to look at some dates as Enigmacons gets a little bit closer, because I would love to definitely have Angie and Brenda and Alan, have everyone back on to again talk a little more about Enigmacons and talk about their team, because again it's just definitely one of my favorite teams.
Thank you. We appreciate you too.
Well, thank you so much. And so we're going to go ahead and start to wrap things up over here. I'm just wanting to scan the comments here, just a few minutes to make sure that I've not missed anything. And Andre says, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I do apologize. Says the only haunted cemetery I know of near me is Dice Road Cemetery, and I live in Bay City in Michigan. So I can definitely understand your reservations. I didn't know what region or area you were in. So, but yeah, I may know some people that may have some suggestions of some locations in that area. So reach out to me after, and may be able to hook you up with somebody that may have some suggestions in that area, some cool places to check out. So, again, thank you all so much. Check those. Check out Bedford Paranormal. Check out Enigmacons. Go back, check out our live the one that was on my page from Ghost Biker Explorations and Soul Sisters Paranormal Live on their page. We definitely appreciate that. Anything else you guys have going on that you want to promote other than Enigmacons?
Well, like I say, we were talking about starting to write a book, so that's in the works somewhat, and we're looking at pretty much try to get everybody back on track to schedule our year. We usually just schedule a couple investigations for the year, like big ones. We just got back from Harper's Ferry a few weeks ago. Nothing in stone right now. We're concentrating on Enigmacon right now and getting that all squared away and ready to go for you guys. So
again, that's a lot of work.
It is. We have shown stress about it in the past, but we turn around, look at each other, and laugh, and do the best we can do to try to make it the best event ever. So,
well, I don't know who made the cake last year, but I just got to say that cake was freaking awesome. It was a cake in the shape of St. Albans, and like I said, the little details, top notch. I mean, it was beautiful. It was such a beautiful event.
I think the same ladies, Angie knows who it is. I don't know who it is. She won't give up her cake person because of that cake. But the same lady's making the cake for this year, and it's going to be a theme cake again. I don't know if they want me to tell everybody what the theme is or not, but it's going to be a cool cake too.
Nice. I mean, it was just gorgeous, and yeah, that's going to be hard to top.
Yeah, it will be.
So I envy, or I don't envy her. And I just want to mention Joe's comment here. Joe's a pilot, and he said, I've seen ghost passengers towing their luggage through the connecting bridge at Denver International Airport, and there were no aircrafts docked to it. You see weird things there. I heard, and he probably knows the podcast I'm talking about. I heard Ryan Rush do a great episode on the Denver International Airport, and I would love to have someone come on and talk about that, because that place is just wild as far as different stories go for that airport. Not to get off topic, but I saw that comment and wanted to bring that up. But yeah, folks, definitely go check that out. Check out the historic Scott County Jail page for information and stuff that we'll be announcing very, very soon. And still working on a guest for next week. I was originally supposed to be out of town next week and not going to be able to do a show, but my plans have changed for that. And so I'm working on getting someone for next week as well. So we will be announcing that. Hopefully we will have a show next week. And then, of course, the week after that, let me just get my calendar up here to make sure that I don't misspeak, because we're actually booked up through March. We just had this date and next week change. I'm going to be having, okay, this is going to be a really fun show. I'm going to be having Danny Whitson on. He is actually a magician, and he's got some really cool stories, not just from his unique career, but also from some paranormal stories. He did come and do a guided ghost hunt there at the jail. So in 2 weeks, magician Danny Whitson is going to be on. He's also the host of the podcast Abracadam. And then also at the very end of the month, we're going to be talking cryptids with Chuck Sutherland out of Michigan. And so very excited about that. We don't talk about it nearly enough on here. It's always fun when we have cryptids and UFO talk here. So guys, stay tuned for that. And if I don't see you in the next couple days, we will definitely see you next week. So thank you again, Ronnie, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank everyone.